Happy Showcase Sunday, everybody. And this week's Showcase Sunday is coming from the amazing Anna Bennett. Now, Anna Bennett is Grove Design London, and she's going to tell us all about what she does, who she is, what she does, and why she does it. So let's go over to you, Anna. Welcome to Showcase Sunday.
Thank you, Alison. Thank you for inviting me. So I'm Anna Bennett, and I'm the design director of an interior design studio, Grove Design London. I'm just so passionate about creating spaces that just deliver something beyond looking nice and looking good. It's the spaces that people can really feel connected to, and I've just got this drive to transform things and make the best of spaces. So that's what gets me up in the morning.
Oh, fantastic. And is that any space? Because obviously there'll be a lot of people online watching this, asking questions all the time. I feel like I've got an earpiece to the hospitality world all the time when I do a Showcase Sunday. And you know, they'll have rooms that are quite small, or they'll have large suites. So there's an array of different operators. And I know I've got a few people in the industry right now who are developing really innovative, amazing products. What is it that, you know, is unique and different about you?
So for me, I think it's what I bring to the table. So obviously there's principles of interior design that all interiors design work with. That means that a space will function, that it will flow. But I think where I go the extra mile, or what makes me different, is maybe the way that I approach it. And it's all about sort of harnessing this sort of magical power. So when I design for residential, I bring in a lot of color psychology and design psychology into so I can sort of get my client's archetype and make them feel really aligned to that. But obviously in the hospitality space, you're designing for many people, but I still think it's about bringing in that magic and bringing something that people can really feel connected to, and making sure that the spaces make you, depending on what space it is in the hotel, that it would really make somebody feel that when they're in it. So whether that's excitement or whether it's relaxation, and it's about understanding, I mean, really, the power of color is so core to what I do to sort of bring about those sort of magical spaces, and spaces that people, when they enter them, they just smile, and they smile because they're excited, or they smile because they're like, oh, this feels like a sanctuary, I can relax.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And actually guest experience, especially since lockdown, since you know, the pandemic began, guest expectations have gone way up. We've had customer service issues, we've had all sorts of complaint issues, etc. in the industry, and that's what people are looking for, something unique and different, something that brings an experience that they couldn't get anywhere else. And I love that, bringing the magic into it. So Anna, what's your background then, and why you're so organised and able to deliver all these amazing projects?
So before I entered the world of interior design and I started my own business, I worked in financial services in the City of London. So I worked for some of the big investment banks, and I used to run £1 million IT projects and programs, as well as running IT departments and managing all the resources and budgets. So I think that's just something that I've taken with me through life, and just being able to manage the projects and understanding the importance of communication, and you know, just keeping on top of everything.
Yeah, so that's music to my ears, because as a ex-hotel general manager, when I had massive projects, so I'd have a restaurant being refurbished, I'd have bedrooms being refurbished, a foyer and probably a reception or a lounge, all at the same time. Do you, I know you said you do the whole lot, but do you project manage everything if they've got the budget to be able to do that?
Yeah, so absolutely, I can coordinate that as a whole project with all the different deliverables and milestones, keep a track of everything, keep on keep hassling people, contractors, making sure people turn up when they say they will, giving them a hard time when they don't, and yeah, just sort of keeping the machine moving through that plan, and obviously creating the plan as well,
and
to
working
work
to a
around
deadline.
the different deadlines,
Yeah.
and availability of resources as well, obviously, to bring that all together.
That's key, because I know there's only finite times where people take off reservations for certain accommodation-led businesses, or if they're closing a restaurant down, or a bar area, or a spa, whatever it may be. They'll close it off for a certain time, so you'll be able to actually manage it within that time, and you'll communicate, well, what time is best practice for you.
And the key thing with that as well, it's obviously there is that running of the process while you're doing the renovation, but it's also what's important in any project is the planning and the pre-planning. And if you've got everything designed and spec'd, and you know exactly what all your different lead times are, and if you've got that before you pull the trigger, you're going to have a much more successful project than if you're having to make decisions on things like that midway through, and obviously that can cause delays. It can derail some of the plans as well.
Yeah, I've known that to happen over the years. So what do you do that's relevant for the hospitality industry, whether it's now or in the future, and especially because a lot of people are looking for sustainability, carbon neutral, carbon zero. What is it that you do that actually ticks all those boxes?
So I think with I mean, just before we talk about, I guess, the sort of the eco impact, but I think you really touched on what people, I think, are now looking for. It's more than just a place to stay. People want an experience. They want it to be immersive. They want to have something that like is just really memorable and really makes an impact on them. And I think people's expectations have kind of, the bar's been raised, and people are looking for that now when they're spending their hard-earned money going away on holiday, weekends away, that, you know, they want it to be a little bit special. But just to go back on the point of sourcing sustainably, this is obviously becoming more and more you know, into the forefront of what people are doing. And I work with a lot of different suppliers, and it's really interesting to understand what they're doing. A lot of them are making commitments to be carbon neutral in their processes by, you know, 5 years, 10 years time. There's a lot of companies out there who are already doing their bit. There's a particular wall covering supplier that I love, and they're based in Belgium, but they are totally like eco everything. All of their facilities are powered by solar. They don't use nasty chemicals. Everything's very natural, sort of base, sustainable. And I think it's having that sort of consciousness about what you're choosing, and also maybe choosing things that are better quality, that will have more durability and lifespan. Because I know certainly the sort of the fast fashion trend that we've seen, well, in sort of fashion, has come across to homes and interiors as well. And it's, you know, it's you want to sort of slow that down a little bit. So investing in pieces that will service you for longer. It's got to be a way of keeping things out of landfill.
Absolutely, and that is massive, isn't it? The waste that we have on a regular basis in all areas of our industry is crazy. Anyway, I'm constantly talking about that, and you're right. You know, to have something that's, you know, commercially able to, you know, sustain the time in the properties, but also that has a longevity when it comes to the piece that it has. Yeah, and you know, the sustainability, but also the I think when I see, you know, lots of people at the moment are talking, lots of business owners and managers in the industry are still talking about people can abuse the properties. Somebody at the show the other day said, you know, he was being called to bring beds in on a Saturday afternoon because they'd been trashed. excuse me, and you just think, gosh, you know, and this is where you've got to have something that can stand that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about getting the right products and the right fittings and furniture.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to know as well what happens to something when it gets to the end of its life as well. So whether that can be repurposed, recycled, what the constituent sort of components are, so that, you know, everything's done responsibly from sort of the whole life cycle of that product.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And there's so many charities out there now who can recycle everything, which is incredible. It's fantastic. Now, I always ask my Showcase Sunday interviewees to bring some 5 top tips. What are your 5 top tips, Anna?
Okay, I didn't count to see if they were 5, but
it's all right. It could be 4
I think
or 6.
So my first tip would be not being afraid to do something different, or sort of stepping out of what's considered the norm, and sort of really sort of just making bold decisions, because I think it can be surprising how that could really help differentiate you from the competition, but give you, you know, and it's just something to talk about. And I think particularly in this day and age of, you know, social media and everything gets posted, if you've got something that's a bit of a talking point, maybe has a bit of humor in it, something like that, it's going to create a buzz and an energy. And I think that's a really you know, I definitely say don't be afraid to try something new.
I've known people, Anna, who's actually picked venues because they're Instagram friendly. That really knocks me for 6. And I go, but does it fit your needs and your wants? And they're going, it's Instagram friendly.
Yes, absolutely. I think there's so much of that now, that it's definitely a consideration. And I think as well, for hospitality as well, I think it's if there's clarity about the brand and the values as well, I think it's about using that to create, so it's almost you're bringing that brand and the values to life a little bit. So you can make design choices based on who you are, and, you know, as a business. And I think that's, you know, I quite sort of enjoy that. It's almost like taking something that's like written down and turning it into something 3-dimensional.
Wow. So can you design the first story of a property? Because that's a unique selling point, their background, their story, who they are, what they do and why they do it. And you can design something that showcases that to a T, I'm guessing.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tailor it so that the design speaks to that.
Wow.
So another thing that sort of kind of relates to the first point about being brave, but I think it's really like harnessing color to do amazing things, and sort of do different things and mix it up. But it's that power of color and using it so that you get the right impact in a space. So I think there's a little bit about understanding how people can react to color from, you know, color is, there's an emotional response to color in people, and I think it can be a really powerful tool. So definitely harnessing color in the right way. And from what I do a lot of work with ergonomics and how people are going to be in a space. So I think when you're designing, it's very important to put yourself right in the shoes of the person that's going to be going through that experience. So seeing everything from their point of view. So you've got their kind of, you're walking through it as if you're the client, really understanding that.
I love that. And that really adapts. So with their ideal client avatar, which is what I'm obsessed about with every business I work with. So if they gave you a document saying with the picture of their ideal client and exactly who they are, what they like about, you know, the pains and gains and everything, you can adapt your, you know, your interior designing with regard to that, can you?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you may have special considerations for certain types of clients, and you might adapt some spaces to be slightly different. You know, I guess in sort of like the diverse world we're living in, there's a little bit more sensitivity to people who maybe you know, less mobile or have those sort of challenges, but doing it in a way that is, you know, you don't lose the magic. It doesn't come across as too functional.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I get that.
yeah. And yeah, I mean, I think it's the same with all businesses, putting your guests and your clients at the heart of everything, for me, it's the starting point for most things. And I think, you know, that kind of says it all, really, doesn't it? It's you start with them, and then it's
everything else becomes really easy once you know. Yeah. You've got to love your ideal client. You know, you're the ambassadors of your business who know and love you and constantly would buy off you but forgive you if you got things wrong. Your ideal client avatar is the heart of everything that you do, and I love that. I love you design around them. I think that is just incredible, and it's a powerful tool for any business to take on an interior designer who can adapt and understand that. And I love that you've got that in your top tips. It's incredible. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that was about 5, wasn't it?
Yeah, you did very well. They were all 5.
Counting, but...
So have you got any examples when you have helped anybody in the industry or similar, you know, any accommodation-led businesses where you save time or how you've added value for your clients? What would you give as an example or case study?
Yeah, I mean, I think for all the design work you do, it's very much about, you know, I do come in and save people time because I'm a capable pair of hands that can just get on with things. And I've got very easy, quick access to all those suppliers across the market. So there's, you know, I can very quickly research the best materials, the compliant materials, everything that can be brought together. So I think, you know, that's what we do. We do save people time because we can take out all that research time, we can take out all the decisions that have to be made, and we can really streamline that process.
If someone was looking at it right now and they were saying, you know, what would they get? Would they get a storyboard? Would they get a mood board? What would it look like from what you deliver?
So in terms of my process, yes, you would get those things. So my process very much starts off with space planning, because it's almost like a black and white, non-colored, non-texture. So it's just a blank canvas. But getting the ergonomics and the space plan right from both a sort of a 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional perspective is always the starting point for me. So I can start to build that space and understand how it will work and how it will all flow together. And then after that, it's all about working on what's the concept, what's the design direction. And for that, I do put boards together. As it develops, that becomes sort of more tangible samples of things that would be used in the space. Yes, and you end up with basically a whole sample board, mood board of everything that is going to go into the space. I do a lot of sketching as well, just sort of conceptual sketches. I think there's been a lot of, you know, we do obviously CAD work as well, but I quite like the sketching because it kind of gives it a little bit more of there's like a bit more of a personal touch. Yeah. It's a bit friendlier, I suppose, than just having these very stark drawings. So yeah, so little sketches that combine with all of the samples, the color choices. Yeah, basically we'll do that. And then as the design develops through the process, then there's a full schedule of everything. So a schedule of all the lighting, the flooring finishes, wall finishes, furniture, fabrics, you know, and it can be sort of split up and presented different ways. So you've got your lighting you can give to your electrician, you've got the flooring details to give you flooring contractor, the wall finishes to your decorator, and also it helps manage budgets as well, so that you can look at each space and you can sort of see what the spend would be for that space.
Brilliant. You do all that, do you?
Yeah. Wow. So it's a detailed schedule of, you know, basically everything. It's the recipe, if you like.
Yeah.
So this is the ingredients, this is the recipe, and then yeah.
I love that analogy. We all understand that without a doubt.
Yeah, baking
and
a cake.
yeah, and can I just ask as well, because I know where you're based, but you know, where do you cover? Where are you based, actually? Tell everybody where you're based
So,
and where you cover.
so I am based on the edge of the Yorkshire Dales National Park, which is right on the sort of, it's Cumbria, it's Lancashire, it's North Yorkshire, it's right where the three counties come together. But I do work further afield as well. I've got projects going on in Scotland and down towards sort of London and the home counties. So it's geographically, I'm not very limited, but obviously there's some amazing sort of hospitality venues in sort of the South Lakes, North Lancs area. It's an amazing area for that. So
And lots right now really thinking about what they're going to be doing next year or the coming year, because people are expecting more. And we said it earlier, I mean, the guest expectations are far exceeding than they've ever been. But they're expecting, you know, more for the money. They're expecting the experiences we mentioned earlier, and they don't want to see the same old. And it is true about the Instagram worthy of the establishment. It does increase the storytelling, etc. And if someone was sat on the fence right now and they were thinking, this sounds great, but how do I know that it'll work in my property? Because I know us hoteliers, us hospitality experts, us operators, managers and owners do question everything. We are little monkeys for that. But if they were sat on the fence thinking, what can Anna do for me, for example, what would your past or your current clients say to somebody who's sat on the fence thinking, should I take Anna on?
yeah, and I think the first point kind of comes back to a little bit what we said before about how I would put the client at the heart of everything I do. So for me, if a client is happy and overjoyed with an outcome, that's just an amazing feeling for me. And it's like job done. And it's about, you know, I want to make the experience of working with people personal to them as well, or personal to their company. It's not that there's here's an answer and we're going to implement that. It's a very much a process of getting to know people. And I know some clients I've worked for before, I mean, they always compliment me on sort of my creativity and my inspired ideas that I've come up with, but also, which I think is sometimes it's to be remembered, there's a lot of organization behind the scenes as well. So it's my professionalism and, you know, just my capable hands, my ability to manage a budget and all of that makes a good successful project all around.
Excellent. Yeah, excellent. And that's the key, isn't it? You're the expert who can actually do it from start to finish. And if they have got a low budget, you could possibly give them direction and then leave them to it, I'm guessing.
Yes,
you?
I do. So I operate on both a full service design, which is where I get more involved in the design and the implementation, but I do work on a consultation basis as well, which is a lighter touch engagement, and people can take what they need from me to help them on the way or to set them on a road. And obviously, you know, they can take my ideas and sort of run with them and manage it themselves.
That's
So,
great.
yeah,
So it's all you know, all products, facilities and services, for example, are covered under one roof, which is an ideal place to be.
yeah.
And you work with people from all over, do you? So that if somebody was wanting certain suppliers, could you recommend people? Because that's something that a lot of people want to be relied on, especially with the current situation with staffing. I know the amount of things that are taking 2 weeks to come now, maybe longer, is a bit crazy still. So you manage all that, do you, or help and support them?
Yeah, so that part of my procurement process is managing those timelines and managing those lead times. And honestly, things are all, I mean, I think it feels like it's getting a little better now,
Yeah.
but things have been all over the place. And, you know, you're losing like a month or 2 months just because of the delay, and it's out of everybody's hands, and it's been very challenging. But obviously the key thing for that part of my process is the communication, and keeping people up to date with what is happening, and
because if they've got a project,
so their expectations are managed as well, because
yeah,
things are taking longer than they did, say, maybe than 2 years ago.
So they really need to get in now to be talking about next January, don't they? To make sure that they're not going to be behind, or if things are taking longer, it can be certainly a process that they can be in control of now, rather than a lastminute.com at the end of the year going, I'm deciding to refurbish all the accommodation on the first floor, for example, and then, well, we can't get anything until March.
Yeah, I think it very much depends on the scope of what changes you're looking to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously planning is everything. So if there's a window where those changes need to happen, then obviously the sooner you plan it, the better.
Yeah. I have a big thing: if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
That's right.
So
yeah.
So how can they get in touch with you? What's the best way to get in touch with you, Anna? How can people, you'll have contact details we'll put at the end of the Showcase Sunday interview, but how's best to get in touch with you?
I mean, I love to chat, so I always welcome a nice phone call, and love to hear about people's plans and what they're up to. So happy to have a call, or drop me an email, and we can set up some time to either have a video call or phone call, or meet up on site if that's appropriate.
Yeah, that's brilliant, fantastic. Is there anything that you'd like to add, or are you all good?
I think we've covered quite a lot. I think that's
I love these Showcase Sundays because it's great. It's an insight into the experts in who help and support our amazing industry, and I love how much information content that you very kindly offer and help and support, and to know that you've got sustainability view on every element that you do as well, and to help and support the industry. And I love your top 5 tips. You're very kind in offering those, and it was a big win when I heard the client avatar, the ideal client avatar is the center of everything you do. I'm like, yes and yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Right, thank you very much, Anna. It's been an honor and pleasure to have you on our Showcase Sunday this week. If anybody would like to find out more, Anna, do you want to just mention what your website is?
Yeah, the website is grovedesign.london.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And all the details will be on the end of the interview. Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you for joining me on the Showcase Sunday. Have a great Sunday and happy week, everybody. Happy Sunday and have a happy week.
Thank you, Alison.
Thank you.